All right. So they were able to get the FRM replaced, covered under warranty. So if you guys happen to have one of these, well, if you happen to have an E70 that is produced within the last 15 years, so like a 2010, and your FRM fails and you have less than 186,000 miles, BMW will cover it, which is great. And yeah, so now we're going to take a look at our treasure. We've got a few things I want to do, real simple stuff. We also got the quote from BMW. As when you take a car to a dealer, they tend to like to go, hey, here's everything you should do.
So here's the quote we got from BMW when we took it in for the FRM. As you can see, the two front diffs, or the front diff, the rear diff, and the transfer case come to about $1,200. I get they're trying to make money, and overall this quote was very, very high. It was more than what I spent on the whole car, which is why we're going through and kind of showing that you can do this stuff without really any special tools. And save yourself quite a bit of money, because we spent, I think, about $100 just to do these fluid changes.
And we are going to do that and save money. We're going with some Valvoline for the front and rears. And we got the PB Bilstein TF1 for the transfer case. A couple pumps. New drain plugs. I have a new fuel filter as well, and I need to throw in this oil filter still because I just changed the oil and forgot to hit record. So yeah, so we're gonna start on that. These shouldn't be that bad, and I don't know why it's so expensive to have that service done, but we're gonna see if it's worth paying BMW $1,100 worth of parts, because I think everything here only cost me about $70. So we're gonna get that started and finish up some of these little side quests. Like I said, the transfer case, or not the transfer case, the transmission is coming up on the list of things to do, but I want to make sure these are good because there's very little fluid in it, and with how bad the oil was broken down for the engine, I can't imagine these are holding up too well. So let's get this taken care of. We'll be back in a second. All right, so as far as it goes with transfer case, it's pretty easy. So once you're under, this could definitely be done on the ground. I'm glad I have a lift now. My cross member is a little crusty, but it's fine. So this is the transfer case right here. There's our fill plug up there, which should be accessible with a socket. The problem is that the drain plug is right here, and a lot of people, what they'll end up doing is they'll cut like a 14mm Allen and then take a piece of it, put a wrench on it, and pop it off. I didn't have any 14mm Allen wrenches to sacrifice, so I went ahead and did the next best thing and just basically made a socket. So I took a 14mm bolt that I had laying around and just welded this nut onto it. I can't back up enough on how much I would recommend getting a welder. The amount of times this thing has come in handy for removing a broken exhaust stud or making something like this where I don't have the right tool, but I can take a bolt or something and make a socket out of it to fit. Totally worth its weight. This one is just a Harbor Freight titanium, and it's been freaking awesome. If you ever see those on sale, right? If you can get this thing for $400, worth every penny. If you can get the 221 that has the adapter with it, I think those are like $600. Totally worth it. And then hopefully we'll get to use this a little bit more later this year. That's what I kind of learned to take on. Not great by any means, but I do want to get better, so I think we're going to utilize that a little bit later for some of the stuff under the car. So while I wait for that to cool down, I think I'm going to remove a few of these under trays up here because I believe our front diff is up in this dark abyss right there, so I got to pull that tray. And then the rear diff I think I can access pretty much straight away, so maybe I'll do the rear diff first, let the bolt cool, move up to the transfer case, and then tackle the front diff last. But regardless, we're going to pull off the pan. These are just, I think, 6/16s, so Nothing crazy. And this was like 5 8mm bolts. So that just pops off. And then we'll cover doing a trans service on it once I get a new pan and some fluid. Alright, it's definitely gonna be a little dark. See if I can prop the flashlight up somewhere to give a little more light. That works. So like I said, this one's just a 14. It looks like I'm gonna need like a extractor pump to get it out. Fortunately, there's only one drain plug on it. Oh man. Yikes. Wow. Ugh. Wow. Whew, man, that's supposed to be bad. Release tank fluid extractor. I definitely think getting like some brake line or like a harder tube would be better for this to just loop it. But I don't have any brake line on hand, so. This is the next best thing. Alright, big sidetrack. I did find some brake hose or brake line, so now I made this little U, and hopefully. This is my least favorite part, just doing this little. Okay. I think that may be all. Yeah, much better. Okay. On the next two, actually. Well, actually, when we do the front. When we do the front, I'm gonna put it back on the sawhorse to free up some space, because that worked way better. And these squeeze bags are just great for this. At least when you remember to open them. Got ourselves a healthy dribble. Should grab drain plugs. I think I may have put a little too much in. It was a little more than a healthy dribble. We're actually gonna back it out. I'm gonna take a little fluid out. That there's probably okay. Let this area down a little bit, and then we'll get her sealed up. In my hands. Click. We will come back with the torque wrench and just double check that, I guess. But I can't imagine it's going to be too high of a torque rating. All right, now onto the front and the transfer case. All right, so for the transfer case, we've got our custom tool, which is just a 14 millimeter bolt welded onto a 19 millimeter nut, and it fits like a glove. Realistically, should just be able to get this up. Twist. Well, that didn't work. All right, so I just had to re-weld the bolt. Got a different nut that got a little closer, but we're gonna do the front diff instead. I'll say this now. When I was younger and I started working on cars for the first time, I hardly ever wore ear protection. Definitely do it. Save your ears. You only get one set, and it's just not worth losing your hearing over something like that. So, take advantage of it and use it. Where did the flashlight go? So here's our front diff. Let's see if I can. Here, front diff. Drain plug's there. No plug here. That's kind of in a bad spot to do too, huh? Well, we'll figure it out. All right, so the front plug is the front diff fill plug is up there. And it doesn't look like you can easily get anything to it unless you pull off all this plastic. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna get my socket up in there, put a wrench on that, and then use a cheater. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Fortunately, the socket is just like I can get it in. Okay, fill plug out, wrench down. These don't look too bad, which is good. I'm realizing I didn't order new drain plugs for the transfer case, so we may just try re-O-ringing the what's it called? The plug, and then going from there. All right, wish me luck. I'm either gonna make a mess here or this is gonna go fine. Oh yeah, that fluid is definitely not as good. It doesn't look terrible. It is still just a little dark. My hopes for this whole thing is that when I put this filler bottle on, I'll be able to put it on the bag and then just squeeze the bag and I don't actually have to pump. So. All right, did not work how I wanted. So, we're still having to pump. I just finished up this first bag. So now, should be able to plop it into the second one here, finish up these couple pumps. Because I think I'm always gonna need like half this bag. Maybe not even half. Okay, there we go. Got ourselves a little drip. Let's see if we can weasel this out in a way that this doesn't make a mess. Come on. Ow! Fun flashlight. O-ring still looks good. I think what we'll do is we'll just send this guy back up in there. Maybe. Sweet. that up a little bit. We'll see if we can wedge the tool back up in there. And then that'll be both diff service. Then we just gotta get the transfer case done. I'm running low on storage, so we're gonna call this here and I'll get back to you when we're doing the transfer case. All right, we're gonna try to go fast. Fuel plug came off easy. Now time to try the next custom tool. With a wrench, I don't know where I put it. Hold on. We're gonna get one final crack with this. I think the bolt is spinning again. Yep. We've lost more of the bolt. I'm gonna give one more thing a try since the 114 mil bolt I have is apparently not strong enough for this. All right, we've sacrificed another tool to try and do this. I found another bolt. We've welded it to the wrench and basically filled the whole thing up, so hopefully this one will break it loose, and I need to be careful not to hit myself with this bolt if it breaks. Wow. Is that it? God. All right. That did it. Whew. All right, I forgot to hit record. This fluid looked really bad. It was incredibly dark, so I'm glad we're getting all this swapped out today. Fortunately, this stuff doesn't smell nearly as bad as gear oil, but we got that done. Doesn't look like there's any metal or anything on it. The O-ring still looks okay, I guess. I might try with one of the other drain plugs and see if maybe I can find an O-ring that'll fit this to seal it a little bit better, just to make sure it's good. I didn't think about different size bottles, so we got this resting on top. We're gonna fill it up. Let's see what happens. There we go. It's almost taken the whole liter. I'm gonna do some double check and see how much it actually needs. I didn't account for how much was in the tube. It was about one pump away. And then what we'll do is we'll just flip you back in. Slide down. With the drain plug back in, and that is how to save like $1,100. I don't know about everybody else, but an hour-ish, 2 hours worth of work with only one tool to be made. I would do that any day rather than spend $1,000. But then again, I get it. Some people are busier than others and would rather just pay someone to do it. I am not one of those people because I do not like spending money that much. Even on my old BMWs and all of the... We got rain coming. Even all the BMWs I own, I will really do anything and everything on them because it's not that difficult. I've only had this Lift 2 for like about a year, and I've had all of the cars except this one for well over that time period. So just know anybody can really do this stuff. You don't need any crazy, well, you do need some crazy tools, but you don't need a lot of crazy tools. And I think that'll be something I'll go over maybe a little later, is what kind of tools do you need to do this kind of stuff? Because I think it'll surprise a lot of people. I don't have that many specialty tools, and I have done quite a bit of work on various makes and models. And it's not that crazy hard. You just need to know that if there's a problem on something, there's a solution, right? You just have to think about it logically, and the next important thing is if something doesn't feel right, it's probably wrong. So, yeah. But I'm gonna get this shield back up and take this thing out for a drive. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This is, I think, gonna wrap up the last little bit of small things we have to do on this until the next major stuff we're doing.